Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and today is the day. We are going to pull apart the 33 mocked up project here and make some progress for once. So I finally cleared up some time and have a couple things to hit. North of me, we're going to go to Ronnie Roadster. He is the legendary Flathead racer, builder extraordinaire, and legend. Ron was nice enough to say he would help me, he will build, because I'm not doing shit. So having him build up this engine, he's the guy. So it's really cool. We talked on the phone a bunch of times. He's been a really, really nice guy, answering all my stupid questions. And I'm going to tear this thing apart and head up to Connecticut and drop off all this stuff. Have Ron look over the heads, the blower, all that stuff, and we're going to take you along for the ride. And hopefully he can give us a little insight into, a little more into what I have, what it's going to take, and maybe we can take a peek around his shop a little bit and see what he's got going on. And so Mike and I are going to work real quick, try and get this thing taken apart, all my spare parts gathered together. It's going to kind of hurt to make this stuff leave and not be able to look at it, but we're going to get in the truck, head north, head up to Connecticut. So the Roadster, actually, let's start with the Roadster. That's the car that, you know, everybody knows you guys because of the Roadster. And you have how many miles on the Roadster now?
Probably 80 to 100,000, I don't know, something like that.
Wow.
This year, Laura and I, we've had this car 46 years.
Wow.
So kind of grew old with the car.
Yeah, yeah.
There's not much we haven't done with it.
And this is the car that you kind of, your Ardun fascination, this was the first one you put an Ardun in?
This is it, yeah. Actually, the story goes like this. It always had a flathead, 3 deuces on it. Mm-hmm. I always knew about Ardun, had a passion for Ardun, and I knew a fellow who said he knew where there was a set of Ardun heads, of all things here in Connecticut. So I went to go look at them, and this is back, I don't know, very, very early 80s, I believe. I went to go see those heads, and guy wanted a lot of money for those heads. It happened to be on a Saturday, so I come home quite late in the afternoon. When I get home, I noticed that there's a lot of cars at the house, and I had totally forgotten that Laura and I were going out with friends, like, you know, to dinner and stuff. Totally zoned out because my mind is on about one thing, that damn Ardun. So go in the house, and I'm expecting Laura to really be upset about it. So she's been really cool about the hot rod stuff for her entire time together. So she's not all upset. She goes, well, did you see it? I said, yeah, I saw it. She goes, well, did you buy it? I said, no, it's way too much money. Like, at the time, we just got our house. We have a newborn son. And all Laura said was, well, when would you get another chance? So come Monday, I was at a bank looking into a personal loan and bought the goddamn thing. Yeah. And these are the heads right there.
Wow. And what year was that again? I'm sorry.
Oh, Jesus, got to be late 70s, late 70s, early 80s when I got it.
And did you have a blower on it right away, or was that kind of the second iteration?
No, originally I did 3 2-barrels on the original log manifolds, and I had it on there for a long time. But I knew about the big Scott blower. I always wanted one. One day I saw an ad in Street Scene magazine, of all things. A guy had one for sale, completely apart. I think it was $3,000. So right away, by that time in life, I had some money. So I got the blower, comes in, and here's this basket case, and one thing led to another. Got it all together, rebuilt it, figured it all out. He made the intake out of 28 pieces of aluminum and built it over a winter's time in the garage. Built the drives and all that, and springtime came out, had an Ardun with a blower on it. I will say the 21/8 connecting rods didn't like it because one broke. That wasn't a happy day, but one did break, and so did the block when that happened.
Wow. And you guys have driven this back and forth to California?
Twice.
Yeah,
Twice.
2 times so far.
Wow.
I want to do it again. I gotta talk to him.
In time.
Yeah.
In time.
Yeah. And you went out for the LA Roadster show, right?
Yeah. that's
Hottest
2
time of the year. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
June.
Yeah, Barstow,
But-
California. It was pretty wild.
The second time coming back, we hit snow
Really?
in June.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
Wyoming.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that night it was wild because you were driving down the Interstate 80, and it was really
We
cold
were
that
dressed
morning.
like this.
I got side curtains in the car, and all of a sudden I saw some weird-looking stuff bouncing off the cowl of the car, and I'm thinking, no, I hope not.
Yeah.
And that was all of a sudden there was highway went to 1 lane, and there's an 18-wheeler in front of me, and now I'm driving in snow
Oh my God.
with bias
Following
ply
his
tires.
tires.
It was a white knuckle deal, and there
The
was
windshield.
the windshield
was
only got
covered.
that one wiper, so I could see out of that.
Right.
Laura's
I
on the
have a
other side.
picture of it from
Really?
the inside.
Oh my God.
I'm
Scary.
looking, I want to get off an exit. I can't see an exit. So Laura's looking between the windshield frame and the side curtain.
Right here.
I said,
Other side.
if you see something, let me know. And we got
Yeah.
off the highway, and I'm hoping I could get under an underpass and wait it out. Well, the underpass was so narrow you couldn't stop under there. So I pulled into a gas station deal, and the canopy was nice under the bumps, but I couldn't put the car there. So I pulled over, and right next to me was a motorcycle. And I'm thinking, well, we got a problem?
Yeah.
Poor guy got a big
Yeah, I'll say.
So,
Were you running a hood at that point or no
Yeah.
hood?
Oh,
just the top half.
Just the top.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know,
so.
cross country will do the top half, and we always have the top on it so we don't bake ourselves.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that makes
Get
sense.
wind burn. But yeah, that's so the side was all open, engine was running at like chill. The gauges, the needle on the gauges didn't move. It was that
Oh my
freaking
God.
cold.
Wow.
And we hit snow. And that night it was weird. We got a hotel room a couple of exits down,
Mm-hmm.
and the weather forecast, the weatherman was going, yep, they were calling it January in Wyoming. June,
Oh
snow.
my God.
Fort Bridger.
Yeah, Fort Bridger is where we got off.
Wow. So you go from like 106 degrees at the LA
Yeah,
Roadster show to
yeah.
snow. My God.
Yeah, Barstow, California, you get that big thermometer, and it's
Yeah.
way in the 120s. We're boiling in the car, and then get to Wyoming, and we're freezing our butt off.
Wow.
It was wild for June. Who would
Wow.
think, you know?
So you kind of learned a lot of your tricks and stuff that you now, many years later have put on this engine, perfecting
Yeah.
things to make it more drivable and stuff like that. So
So this engine, during the, which I explained earlier, I learned the hard way when zinc was being removed from oils and wiping out Ardun lifters and cams.
ooh,
And when that was going on, I made up my mind that I have to figure out, can I put roller lifters in a flathead block but with an Ardun conversion? And over that winter, the last time I wiped out another cam and lifters, I stopped and made wintertime, hey, East Coast, we got rebuild season, it's
Yeah.
cool time. So in the garage, I got an Ardun head on a block on the engine stand. I put a flathead cam in it, and I went to the machine shop and I started borrowing roller lifters. GM diameter, I made aluminum bushings in the lifter boards, and I just wanted to play around, say, can I make a lifter work in this? And I'm using the stock cam and I'm experimenting. And I figured out I could do it, and I came across a lifter that Crane actually made for Chevy super stock engines. And once I had that, I had a lifter that was tall enough. I could put a push rod cup at the top. I knew I had to do lifter bushings with bronze bush the bores. When spring came out, I had roller lifters.
wow.
And those roller lifters in that cam is still in this engine to this day. So once I knew how to do that, it made me building a race Ardun even more easier,
Yeah.
because we knew there was a design that would work that no one else has done. Bottom line, it's I don't know how many other roller lifter Ardens exist in the United States, but I know this one's been running since the 80s,
Wow.
this way.
That's awesome.
And it's still a backyard hot rod. That was it. Just do it
Yeah.
in your garage in the backyard.
Figure it out.
That's
yeah,
all.
I love it. All right, so you had the Roadster for a while. And now you needed in on the fun. So what's the story?
I told him I wanted a car before I was a grandmother.
Oh, okay.
I'm never going to be a grandmother. My kids don't want kids, but I didn't know it at that time.
Yeah.
But I wanted one, and I wanted roll-up windows.
Okay. So if you get caught in the snow, yeah.
Or rain.
Yes. So you wanted a 32.5 window, or you just wanted something with
Well,
roll-up
it's
window?
something we found.
Okay, so what you weren't.
But I wanted a 32.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Actually, the body started out as an old drag coupe.
Okay.
When I knew where the body was, and the fellow who had the body was in his backyard of all things, and he really didn't want to sell it. But when I got it, it was like the windshield was about here.
Oh, wow.
It was way chopped down a lot. So what we did was, with this body, and since it was chopped this much, I came across another Deuce 5 window in Connecticut that had been sitting underneath. The whole car was sitting under an evergreen tree for a long time. So the whole bottom of the car was rotted really, really bad. So I got the deal where I bought the body, and we chiseled all of the top off the coupe body because the rest of the bottom was junk.
Oh, wow.
So I had a whole nother top, and there was a really good metal man in Connecticut. His name's Rich Jaco. And I learned about the guy, and he said, I want to unchop the chopped car, but still put a top on it, but still be chopped. But
Yeah.
bring it up enough to give it a little bit better 60s vibe or something.
Yeah.
So this body was completely channeled, no sub rails, so he hand built the sub rails, perimeter jigged the chassis. The frame rails are actually Dave Gale's Just a Hobby frame rails
Okay.
from way back in the day. And I did a perimeter chassis jig in my garage, and we built the chassis, put the 8-cross member in, front and rear, and slowly over a lot of years built Laura her Deuce Coupe. The Flathead, I built, it has a C4 automatic in it, but I'm a backyard guy, so I made the bell housing by welding a 6-cylinder bell housing and put a plate on it. I made the flywheel out of a plate of steel and put a Flathead ring gear on it. So pretty much built the automatic conversion myself and did everything, all the pieces on it, machined as much as I possibly could. The drives, everything else, and like the blower showed up at my house way back in the last century. That was, like $350.
Wow.
That was the price of those things.
Yeah.
The guy shows up at your door, look, I got a blower, you interested? I gotta have $350 for it. Honestly, at the time, I didn't have $350 in the house. Come on, this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
Somehow the guy didn't leave with that blower, and he had $350 cash by the time he left.
Wow.
Thank God for neighbors or whatever.
So did you pick? Was there anything that you had to have a flathead, or when you were?
Yeah.
That was the goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, the fixed-in heads were the first ones with the covers on it,
Yep.
but that didn't work out.
And did it have a blower from the beginning, or did that kind of?
Did it?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh man, so you started.
Came out as a blower runner. Yeah.
So right away you got.
Can't remember back.
Yeah, that's all right.
This was 1990 when we got it on the road.
Car looks great. That's awesome. This is kind of like the daily driver in the summer. You guys have these things that just drive them to the hobby shop and.
Hey, this was my work car when I worked at the railroad at the freight yards.
Really?
Back in the 70s, I would drive this to work.
Oh
And
my
prior
God.
to the railroad, I still drove this to a place where I was working before the railroad, back in the early 70s. It was a daily driver.
That's great.
We didn't think twice about doing that.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Oh, I love it. Well, cool. Thank you for showing me the cars. That's awesome. Oh, man, they're neat. Oh. Go ahead.
Tough piece to find.
Yeah, it is.
It really
It
is.
is.
A friend, a couple of friends are in the bean band. It's Carpo, San Diego.
Yep.
And this one guy, Richard, had one in his shop, and I was going to Richard's. No, he's into flatheads. He goes,
Yeah.
oh, you know, I'm trying to convince him. Oh, you know.
Yeah.
I might have that.
Yeah.
Richard knows.
Coming.
Stew. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I think one of
You
these
need
tubes
6
got-
hands.
Yeah.
Mine always take them when I take them out and put them back in.
The other one, I think you can see it a little better. The company's stamped on it that I guess sold them originally.
Number 235.
I think they're sequential too.
The early ones always seem to be. It's a pretty low number too. Very low number. And these are still all the original, and they're weird because there's 2 different stack heights too, which is really
okay.
odd on an Ardun. Intakes are different heights than the exhaust, which throws a lot of monkey wrenches into a lot of things.
But you could tell those are original.
Yeah.
The original valve springs and lifters and all that.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And they're looking down on the porch pretty quick. It looks like a 3/8 stem down in there. If I can see anything, I really can't see much of that. I can see there. Get my light. Look in there, but I think they have ridiculously thick valve. Oh, 3/8 diameter is kind of really crazy heavy.
That's that stock.
Yeah, it's stock. Yeah, there's stock stuff there. Yep.
Yeah. It looked like somebody was doing some grinding in
You can
there.
see it's had its share of maybe little issues right there.
Came apart.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. Yep, and they just would polish it out because they were used.
Yeah.
They weren't on the shelf. They were actually put on an engine and someplace. Somebody had a fun time with it. Totally.
Yeah. Like you said, if only you could knew the story, hear them talk.
And they actually were used a lot. They had, looks like the head gasket, there was Fitzgerald made a Ardun head gasket, which was quite rare actually, but I could tell from the way this is shaped, this may have been the Fitzgerald.
Oh, okay.
And they gouged it big time to get the extra lift, which is a problem.
Oh,
This is totally deepened to get the push rod to work correctly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of interferences on this, even though you could just put it on your stock engine.
Yeah.
There's issues through getting the engineering to work on the push rods and the blocks and stuff.
Wow.
Huge amount of engineering interference, actually, especially after we go with something to lift.
So is the hogged out area for the push rods, is that going to be a problem?
Well,
or-
I'm looking in the hole here, and I could see it. They did go through, and there's something in there. So I had to do that on mine, and I did go through, and then what I did was, this one here, you can see it when there's something in there. See down, look to the left side of that hole right there. See it?
Oh yeah, it's like
It gets
epoxy
real
or
thin.
solder. Or
Yeah, I don't know what they use in the day. When I did it on mine to get the push rods to not rub, and then I did go through. So then what I did is I got aluminum tubing, and then went all the way through, and then put the aluminum tube in there. So that tube is in the intake port, because the sucky thing is, if you go through and you're on the intake port, well, obviously you got a vacuum leak, and I can see
Yeah.
where it's been all patched over right there.
Hmm.
Well, what did they use in the day? You know, how did they do that?
I don't know. It almost looks like it could be lead or something too.
I don't know. But that is a dead ringer that, they went through, and it's just a...
So they had some kind of pretty high lift cam in it that they had to really...
Yeah, you got to get that clearance on there. You know, stock-wise, nah, you got a little bit of rubber, no big deal. So.
So you said on these ITAL blowers, they use like a lot of metric, obviously metric, and
Everything
there's
is metric.
Yeah.
Yep. And so far looking at it, the heartbreak is always the back, and these are still good. So these got to come off to take this apart.
Yeah, I know my small one of them's missing. I think I'm guessing it broke or something when they...
Usually they're made out of pop metal anyway, and they're because of lack of use, they start to disintegrate.
Mm-hmm.
They do, and I make a...
So even when you take them apart, they could disintegrate.
Got to try to get it apart, and these have to screw out. And hopefully they don't break. It'd be nice if they don't, so then originals go back on. Otherwise I'd have to make another set, which I've done many times. So. I'm going to do some pizza first.
Yeah,
then
of course.
We'll babble some more about this.
So what's common on these to look for, or that?
Well, the rotors do come loose on the shafts, and once they come loose on the shafts, then they start to knock.
Oh.
The other issue on some of the blowers, they had a pot metal gear on
You don't want another piece?
No, I'm okay. Thank you, though.
There'd be a pot metal gear on the passenger side.
Okay.
Don't understand why they did that in the history. Seen that more on Itals and the flathead Itals and the Scott blowers. So far, I've never seen them in a big Scott. This one is in visually pretty nice condition, actually.
Good.
Somebody cut the...
Yeah, saw that. That clearanced it for something.
Yeah. Wow. And what I'd do is I would take it apart, definitely pin the rotors to the shafts, freshen up the seals and the bearings, and hopefully if we take it apart, these survive, and that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is a big Ital. This is the first time I've seen a big Ital. It's not
Really?
a Scott.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen a big Ital.
Wow.
Not a Scott. Very first one I've ever seen. I hope it has a steel gear in there. This is amazing. Huh.
Cool.
I didn't realize they did that. And that's wild.
Wasn't there isn't there like I saw an old brochure for Ital somewhere that they had like a line drawing of all the line of blowers.
Well, I've
and
seen,
they have a photo of it in the line of them.
I've seen that ad, and I never paid attention because once I saw that ad and everything, I'm thinking, okay, yep, there's an ad for Scott or something, and I just blew it off realistically. And this is a different bolt pattern too, so that's another dead ringer. Huh, quite interesting. It's very unusual. What would have gone on there is...
Yeah, I never even took it off.
It's 2/8. That's...
Huh.
Now there's one other guy I know who does a lot of wheeling and dealing on traditional stuff, and I'm going to call him and ask him about that. There was the other one that I rebuilt recently for a fellow out of Pennsylvania for his Oldsmobile. There was a fellow at Hershey with the intake manifold for that Olds, for the big Scott blower. And he had the intake, he didn't have the blower. But I just talked with him the other day, and he's got another big Scott blower. He's got somebody rebuilding for him out in California. I'm going to quiz him on this, because if ever there was someone else who ever seen such a thing, it would be him. And then from here, so no doubt that there was something else here.
Like a box or collector or something that would...
Yeah, there had to be some other way to get the induction in. Some other way. Yeah, the one I have on the car and the one I give my other spare is a rectangle opening. Both pattern is on the outer corners.
Okay.
It's hugely different than this. Hugely. So this obviously had something dramatically different, which may have been a arrangement that came down. The reason for this.
Okay.
And now there's where you put your carburetor for hook clearance, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Probably why they did that. Yep.
That would be crazy.
That's why they did it. No doubt it came up, came down. It would have to come this way. And they did offset these. I know on the Oldsmobile this was offset to the driver's side.
Hmm.
And did it on the Caddy and the Olds. Offset it, put the carb here. Keep it under the hood.
Hmm. And was that a piece that Scott or Ital sold that?
Never seen it.
Oh.
But since this is the first time we've seen one like this, that I bet is no doubt what it would have been.
Wow.
This would pan out.
So you could put two
Yeah,
on there.
yeah. You'd have to put a plate on top to close those holes off, but we could come up with a way to open it up, so we could put 2 in there if we choose to. Just have to space it out. And I could probably copy pretty much off of Flathead, Scott or Ital what that footprint is, and then arrange it that way with a little riser that helps seal what we don't want it to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And then take the top and modify it accordingly.
And you said 48s might be, 2 48s could...
48s would be better than the 97s because those are the bigger Venturis.
Okay.
They definitely flow more than the 97 will, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, that's just the stuff that doesn't make any sense. Stromberg 97. We want I don't know. It doesn't matter, but.
And it's weird that the 48 came out before the 97 because they said that's a 1934 carburetor.
Yeah,
It's a one-year carburetor. It's a bigger carburetor, and then they came out with the 97. It's a smaller Venturi, smaller flow.
Do you think it was flooding the engine or something? They were like, oh, we better.
I don't know, but it's a good thing they did what they did.
Yeah.
We have a bigger carburetor.
I don't know. I might have to look around. I might have 2 chrome 48s sitting around or something. That would be cool.
And realistically, anybody looks at them, they're going to go, "Oh, you got 97s anyway."
Yeah, I don't.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. Like I said, for me, I don't want the carbs to look like some.
Yeah, and I could see that.
Think art, and I'm really, because the car's channeled pretty hard and it's chopped. I'm like,
line of sight is getting restricted in the wood with that combination. Yeah.
Right now it looks cool because it's like the scoops are just above the cow and it looks good, but I don't want the scoops above the roof. You know, it just looks stupid. So so this is one you're working on now.
This one here is almost done, but still some odds and ends. I'm gonna work on the distributor and stuff. So still got a bunch to go on it, but pretty much got the oiling figured out. I gotta just do some plumbing and stuff on it.
So you said you figured out some stuff. Since you've had your car on the road so long, you figured out some tricks with the oiling secrets or the, you know.
Pretty much. When the Ardun was designed, they give you the Ardun is fed oil to the rocker shaft, so this area is going to get lubed. The bushing to the shaft is getting lubed, but there's a big void in regards to what about that wear point? What about the push rod wear point? What about down here's wear points? So years ago, others besides me came up with an idea. If we drip oil here, let's get some oil dripping around. What I did is we come out with a central feed of oil. There's a hole here, there's a hole over here, and another one here, actually over here to get to the push rod. Now once the oil starts dripping here, it slowly propagates down and lubricates here. This dripping here works great because it's going to lube here, and the oil eventually, through the bushing and stuff, gets down to the push rod. And just this simple little loop solved the lack of extra oiling that was never in the design. And you feed it off the back, same oil feed that's in the bridge assembly, that original design they made them. So this is what makes it live realistically on the original combination.
And that was, without that, they were failing and breaking or seizing?
Most guys who tried it on the street, there's some that I have seen where they drilled a hole and tried to put a copper tube and silver soldered it inside below the rocker.
Oh, wow.
And kind of silver soldered a copper tube in here. And I've seen that done. And then one fellow that I did talk with a long time ago who ran an Ardun on the street explained what he was doing, which was just a couple of lines, dead ending, and I just kind of just modified it and said, well, why not just 100% loop it and have equal dripping the whole way, and just refined a couple other ideas. That's all I ever did.
Wow.
And in all the many miles I put on mine with the stock rocker assemblies, nothing would ever wear. It worked out very well, and that's what they need, bottom line. Yours is going to have the newer style because we don't have any of the original stuff.
Yeah.
So if we go with the new stuff, those are roller rockers which already have it's been designed in the rocker to feed these areas, so we don't have to worry about this tubing.
I'm cheating a little bit, but that's okay.
Well,
It's not
unless you come across, anybody watching, and you got original rocker
Yeah.
shaft assemblies without heads, Matt needs them.
Yeah.
That's all right. And we could do this to the originals just as easy,
Just costs money. That's all.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll be okay with it. Guys can make fun of me that I don't have original rockers. That's fine. I'll say, where's your Ardun?
Totally, yeah.
They can't.
So this is you're working on this here real soon. You're going to be getting heavy on this, right?
Yeah, actually, a few weeks we're going to bring it up to Maine to test it at the 1.5 miles.
Okay.
At the Loring Air Base, and it's pretty much the speeds we gain at 1.5 miles sea level is comparable to what we could see normally in 3 miles of Bonneville with the car. So
Okay.
yeah, we're going to give her a run and get her. I have the backup engine in the car because we have the primary engine.
Okay.
And the backup engine are both identical, but the backup, she's a little older, so I'm going to try it, test it with the backup in there just to get a run in and see how things work out from our changes from last season.
And so how fast did you run? Have you run in this one?
This one in Maine with a flathead, I've gone 200.9 from a standing start in 1.5 miles. The record we have with the flathead in the car at Speed Week is right now 195.6.
Wow.
So we're always hoping for that 200.
Yeah. 200 club, right?
We got into the 200 club with our Ardun years ago, so
Okay.
we're there. That's why that sticker's on the car,
Yep.
It's right there.
Yeah.
But the ultimate is, can this car get to 200 burning gasoline with a flathead with a Roadster body? Because so far, no one's done that.
Really?
Hasn't happened yet.
Wow.
We'll see if we could do it.
And the T here, this is what's the story on that one?
That one was 1961, built for opening day, Connecticut dragway.
Wow.
It's still the way it was way back then. This car has been shown at Hershey in the 24A category. It actually was the first hot rod / drag car that the AACA ever allowed there because I documented it, which you have to. It's got to be documented and certified. It was not greatly appreciated when we brought it there. As a matter of fact, it was hated.
I love it.
Well, we brought it there 4 years in a row, and on that firewall, it's got its junior first and it's got its senior first. So it was the first hot rod / drag car shown down there, and they just they didn't like it, and that kind of just pushed me to keep doing
To
it.
do it more, yeah.
That's all.
I love it.
And
Yeah.
it was wild because back then you brought it out to the stadium. Now they got it all crunched down in the turns. We would back this car way up into the straightaway, into the turn, and
Hammer
I would
it.
light them up, hit high gear with it, and coast to the other side and do the other side of the oval, and coast off, and the crowds are cheering and clapping.
Oh my God.
So she's
awesome.
It's a museum piece. It's been in the Eastern Museum of Motor Racing down the Latimer on display.
Yeah.
It's been Saratoga Auto Museum. It's been out on loan on display, and most of the time it's here covered on display.
That's cool.
Then right behind you, there's a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
That is the record-setting Ardun from Bonneville at 225 miles an hour, which is in the record books in our race car. And last September, we brought that up to Maine at the 1.5 miles. That engine in the car, it did from a standing start 229 miles an hour.
Wow.
That's
what-
the fastest Roadster pass up there ever.
And you had that in
the rear engine car.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Man.
It took 8 months to build that Ardun.
That's awesome. And this is this an original set of heads, or is it a?
No, those are the reproductions.
Yeah. Not that it matters. I was just curious for my own.
I certainly didn't want to try to do all that with originals. I believe originals would have been able to accomplish it, but in the end, the modifications I wanted to do to this and the ideas I had, I chose to go with the reproductions and only get the pieces I really wanted. Don Ferguson was agreeable to sell me just the pieces I wanted.
Oh, cool.
And then between my son and I and the 8 months worth of work, we came up with a combination that did very, very well.
Right. Wow.